Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Apologies for the delay. So we'll get started. We were doing the verse 10. Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mam upashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa puta madbhava magata. So we did all of this yesterday. We'll just go back to where we stopped. We saw why, because of the alpagnatva, the limited knowledge, the jiva is not able to realize that he is Ishvara. And why is that so? Because of the raga, dvesha, and bhaya. And how, what is the nature of fear? What is the nature of anger? Anger comes when we have binding raga, dveshas. And then the vision of non-difference between Ishvara and jiva. The only difference is because of the upadhis. Once the upadhis are removed, both are nothing but pure consciousness, pure, that puta, pure, absolutely pure, shuddha. And what is relative shuddhi and absolute shuddhi? So living a life of karma yoga, you develop antakarna shuddhi, but that antakarna shuddhi is always relative. Until and unless that understanding happens, until and unless the knowledge dawns. So absolute shuddhi cannot be a process of purification because the impure can never become pure by any means amount of purifying. The self is absolutely shuddha, it's already pure.
Can you read that sentences again?
Which sentences?
Absolute cannot be. That relative cannot be totally
I will
pure.
read from. The relative shuddhi is a process of growth, a process of maturity, wherein a life of alertness, discipline, commitment, and prayer is involved. Such a life is a life of purification and being a process, it takes a certain length of time. Absolute Shuddhi cannot be a process of purification because the impure can never become pure by any amount of purifying, no matter what the process is. The self which is absolutely Shuddha is already pure. So it says absolute Shuddhi cannot be a process of purification because the impure can never become pure by any amount of purifying, because there will always be some impurity left. The self which is
So
absolutely
relative Shuddhi in that it is not 100% pure.
right.
Cannot be purified 100 pure means fully.
It is
Means
not
mana.
equivalent to it
Antakarana
is
is relative that Shuddha because
relative
it
Shuddhi.
goes through the process. But
Yeah,
there will be some impurity sometime.
isn't it? So take Karma Yoga for instance. Supposing there is one who is absolutely, he's a Pakka Karma Yogi. But does that mean he's a Jnani? There is that little bit of Kartritva there. That is why he's a Karma Yogi. Karma Yogi, by definition, is someone who has this Ishwararpana Buddhi and Prasada Buddhi. That means there is still that tinge of duality there. As long as there is that duality, there is that impurity. There is that identification. Oh, I am offering this to the Lord, and whatever result I get, I take as prasada. So that small I is still there,
Correct, sir. Thank you.
isn't it? So that identification with that self is still there. So whereas absolute Shuddhi is absolute. It is what is. It does not need purification. It is like the bright sun which is burning, which is shining loud and clear. The cloud covering it, it's not like you're cleaning the sun off the cloud. The cloud just has to move away. We just have to blow away the cloud for you to realize, to perceive the sun.
It's like a Satya which can be the all-time Satya.
Oh, what's happening to my computer? It's deciding on its own what to do. Okay. Yeah, it is Satya. It is always, it is there. Same thing with the mirror example. See, the mirror, the smoke and fire, mirror and the dust, and the fetus and the womb. They are already there. But the mirror is already there. It's pure. It is only covered by some dust. So once you remove that dust by this jnana tapasa, so that is why the karma yogi is a mumukshu, and by definition, he is one who who does action in the world, in the universe, for antakarana shuddhi and not for any other reason. And he also pursues knowledge side by side. Whereas a sannyasi is one who pursues knowledge to the exclusion of all else. Both are mumukshus. And the other three purusharthas, artha, the one who is following artha, is only following pleasure, security. Kama is just, it is all about the pleasures. And then dharma is living a righteous life. So therefore, we have these four purusharthas. Moksha purushartha is one that where the goal is shreyas and not prayas. So once we've gone through all of this and we are exposed to this shreyas and prayas, the difference between these two, once you've decided, okay, this will be my commitment. That is why this requires strength, commitment. Where is that? It requires, see, relative shuddhi is a process of growth, a process of maturity, wherein a life of alertness, discipline, commitment, and prayer is involved. Such a life is a life of purification. And being a process, it takes a certain length of time. So if you just decide to become a karma yogi today, it's not like you have already attained antakarana shuddhi in a short span of time. It takes a while. That is why abhyasa and abhyasa, it has to be done for a certain length of time. There's something wrong with my, don't know what is happening. Okay, never mind. Purity means freedom from raga dveshas, punyas and papas. Freedom from everything, in fact. I'll just be back in a minute. 1 second. Q4. So purity means freedom from raga, dveshas, punyas and papas, freedom from everything in fact. This purity is the nature of Atma. Atma being nirguna, free of all attributes, akarta, free from doership, and so on. And those who know this are also pure, putas, meaning that they have understood the fact that as Atma, they are eternally pure. They are madbhavam agata, as Krishna puts it, meaning they have come back to be me. This coming back of Bahavaha, so many jivas, is to be understood in terms of the identity between jiva and Ishvara. It is not that all these jivas have come to Ishvara and are sitting upon him, nor has he collected them all to him so that they have become an integral part of his heart or his being. This particular knowledge reveals the fact that the jiva is Ishvara. Those who know this fact are called jnana nishtas because not only they have gained the knowledge, but they are well established in it. Reaching Bhagavan is not dependent upon any tapas other than knowledge. Thus to say, purified by discipline, tapasa putaha is not enough. The word jnana has to be added because there are other forms of tapas. Today it looks like my computer has its own, it's just working on its
I
own.
think meeting you have to start again
Are you
because
able to see? Are you able to see the screen?
yeah, we can see.
Okay. The pursuit of knowledge is the primary tapas. So it's not enough if you just do tapas. It's not tapasa putaha. Bhagwan was very clear in when he says jnana tapasa puta. It is through the tapas of knowledge. The pursuit of knowledge is the primary tapas. The word tapas refers to any spiritual or religious discipline. For example, a person who chants the Gayatri mantra for 6 hours is said to be doing religious tapas. A person who observes silence for a length of time is also doing tapas, providing, of course, he or she is doing it for religious purposes as a mental prayer, for example. However, to keep quiet purely out of consideration for others is entirely different. It is not tapas. When a person is performing a spiritual discipline like contemplation or studying the Shastra, it is tapas. Swadhyaya, study of Shastra, is considered to be a great tapas. Therefore, those who are committed to listening to the Shastra, Shravana, and to self inquiry, Vichara, are doing tapas. And although there are many forms of tapas, to become established in this knowledge requires only jnana tapas. The pursuit of knowledge is the tapas. The word jnana is prefixed to tapas to show that jnana nishtha does not depend upon any other tapas. This is because moksha is not anything other than being established in this knowledge. There is no other moksha. For moksha, you require knowledge, and for knowledge, you do not require anything else except vichara, inquiry. Thus, the pursuit of knowledge itself is the means. Then, what about all the other disciplines? They are all meant for preparing the mind so that this knowledge can take place. So, whether it is blowing the smoke away, or cleaning the dust on the mirror, or waiting for those 9 months for the fetus to be born, all that comes into preparing for the knowledge to take place. So, for those people who have had enough sadhana from their purva janma, so they pick up the thread, and then it's very simple, easy for them in this life. It's just like blowing away the smoke to see the fire. Others who have a lot more samskaras, a lot more raga dveshas, a lot more cleaning to do to clean up the antakarna, have to wait 9 long months till the fetus is born. So it takes a while for them. And in between are those that need to have a wet cloth to clean up the mirror. It takes some time, it takes some effort, right? So that is why they say when you're doing the Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, and do it constantly, regularly, with that discipline and commitment, just one listen, just that word, the little shabda that you listen to is enough for one to attain um, enlightenment, provided the mind is enough prepared. Then, what about all the other disciplines? They are meant for preparing the mind so that this knowledge can take place. This is what is meant by purification of the mind or antakarna shuddhi. Therefore, the other disciplines are all secondary means, whereas knowledge is the primary means. To say that these other disciplines are secondary is not to say that they have no place. The distinction to be understood is that these other disciplines are indirect means for moksha in that they prepare or purify the antakarna, while the pursuit of knowledge is the direct means for the knowledge that is moksha. Does everyone come back to Ishvara? Because Krishna uses the word bahavaha, many here. Arjuna could assume that only some people come back to Ishvara and others do not. The word bahavaha being plural can refer to any number of jivas, starting with three. The point here is that even if it is just three, a million or more, a finite number is implied. Arjuna may therefore have asked Krishna, why does he not allow everyone to come to him? To such a question, Krishna could only have answered, I can only take them to me if I am separate from them, but I am them. This is so beautiful. Just I think yesterday or day before yesterday in satsang, there was one person who was asking Gurudev, don't ever leave me, keep me with you. And you know what Gurudev answered? Says, you think I'm leaving you. You think you are separate from me. But I don't see that separation. So similarly, here I can only take them to me if I am separate from them, but I am them. So in Gurudev's vision, we're all one. We're all not separate from him. That we see the separation. We see him as a physical form. If we were separate, perhaps there might be something I could do. But since they are non-separate from me, what can I do? It is not a case of my having to bring them to me because I am already identical with them. There is nothing here that I have to do. As Ishvara, they can invoke me, and in whatever form they invoke me, I bless them. Whatever they desire, they get. Therefore, I am not to blame in this particular situation. I do not have any ragadveshas to fulfill in this matter, nor do I take names out of a hat every day to see that some people suffer and some people remain happy and so on. I do not follow any such rule. In this way, Krishna paves the way for the next section in which he explains how Ishvara is free from any kind of blame with reference to what happens in one's life. Otherwise, we would be left asking why Ishvara blesses one person and not another, and why he is so partial. Let's just do some manana here before we go on to the next verse. I request all of you to share your understanding. So the roadmap is laid out. Vita raga bhaya krodha manmaya mam upashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa puta madbhava magata. So when is that one would realize that one is none other than Ishvara? Is when they are devoid of raga, dvesha, bhaya, and krodha. And the nature of raga, dvesha, the nature of fear, the nature of anger is all linked to binding desires, binding raga, dveshas. A person considers himself limited. Therefore, there is that uncertainty and fear associated with the results of action. And when there is a binding raga, when the result is not according to what one expects, or there is some obstruction to it, that ends up with anger. So it ferments. Desire fermented becomes anger. So as long as one is reeling in these three, in these four, raga, dvesha, bhaya, and krodha, one is not able to perceive the true self. So what is required? Initially, tapas is required. The secondary means to purify the mind and prepare the mind. Finally, it is the primary means is jnana tapasa. Why? Because it is ignorance of the true nature of the self is what is the reason for all of this. Raga, dvesha, bhaya, and krodha. So therefore, you require the sword of knowledge to remove that avidya, which is the primary error, fundamental error. Yeah, let's all share before we go on to the 11th verse.
Yeah, Jai Gurudev. That Manana, where when the Ishvara is the only focus, whatever you do, and the way the sunlight is not having any distinction. It remains same whether it is a small pot or a pond or an ocean. It is the same. In the same way, Ishvara's grace is also on everybody the same. The purer the medium, the clearer will be the reflection. That is the takeaway. Yeah, very beautiful.
The truth is glaring, truth is there. But then there is a film covering our eyes, or it is like uh, a foreign body in the eye, then that is there. You're not able to see reality as it is. So it is like the eye is covered by either a tear, a film of tears. Then the eyes become very dusky, and the image you see outside is very blurred. But if the same person is having, say, a little foreign body, some irritation, that causes more pain, more misery. But if he has an infection, that causing even deeper pain. So it all depends on how gross one is. The less sensitive one is, the less exposed one is to this knowledge, the more gross and dense that person is. And the more misery the person goes through. But with this knowledge backing us, this preparation of the mind that is happening, you see the same situation that you take your, I mean, I'm taking myself as an example. What would have unnerved me several years ago, the same situation does not unnerve me now. Because there is some inner clarity that is developing that that helps that has helped me drop that identity with, oh, I am the one getting affected. So there is that little um, vairagya that is set in, viveka and vairagya. And that might be true for everybody, each one of us. So that preparation needs to continue alongside Shravana, alongside doing the Shastra, Shastra tapas, Swadhyaya.
When the question is asked कि how some people goes to him and some not, that time what you said it's gross. When the people that gross mind is working means grossness is there, so they desire, and because they invoke some, when invoke God means him as Ishvara, their desires get fulfilled. After that fulfillment, if they have a desire, who am I, like that means the highest, then only that identity, same identity, as God says I'm identical to them, only then they will go to it,
Isn't it?
like that. Hmm.
So there are four types of
So
devotees. Bhagavan
manifestation of
says.
their desire, sorry, means it's
Correct.
depends on us what we need, means
Right.
want.
Right. So where do we slot ourselves? In which type of devotee? Artha, Artharthi, Jignasu, or Jnani?
Mumu.
Yeah. So Jnani, any day, Bhagavan says, is none other than me. Whereas, are we Arthis? Are we still going around for fulfilling our um, uh, to become more and more secure? Artha is actually one who wants to get rid of his misery, right? Whereas a karma yogi is what? For him, there is nothing miserable or pleasurable. He has that prasanna chitta. He is equanimous in his mind. Despite the pairs of opposites, the results showing up as pairs of opposites. So therefore, living a life of karma yogi is essential. So you step yourself up from artha, artharthi. A karma yogi is a jignasu. He is preparing his mind while pursuing knowledge. Finally, to become a jnani, to realize that he is none other than the knowledge that he is seeking. So, and then very important is that it is not like Ishvara decides this person has to suffer, that person gets this pleasure. No. He is not the one to blame. Ishvara is free from any kind of blame with reference to what happens in one's life. It is the principle of karma that has set the whole creation into motion. And that is by default. That is the law of karma, law of dharma and karma that gets the whole process of creation moving. And each one of us who performs karma has to experience and go through the results of our karma, either in this life or in the coming lives. So let's see what it is. And then another thing is, as Ishvara, whoever prays to me, for whatever they desire, that is what I will give them. So in whatever form they approach me, which is that, see, there is nothing here that I have to do. As Ishvara, they can invoke me, and in whatever form they invoke me, I bless them. Whatever they desire, they get. Therefore, I am not to blame in this particular situation. So shall we move on to the next verse? Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamstathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanuvartante manushya partha sarvashaha. Ye, those who, yatha, in whatever way, mam, me, prapadyante, worship, tatha eva, indeed in the same way, aham, I, tan, them, bhajam, bhajami, bless, partha, O Arjuna, manushyaha, people, sarvashaha, in all ways, mama, my, vartma, path, anuvartante, follow. So, ye yatha mam prapadyante tatha eva aham tan bhajami. Partha manushyaha sarvashaha mama vartma anuvartante. Those who worship me in whatever way, I bless them in the same way. O Arjuna, people follow my path in all ways. Why? Because he is none other than creation. He's in and through creation. So in whatever form you worship him, you're worshipping whom? You're worshipping Ishvara himself. So again, Krishna is talking as Ishvara here. The verse is a very important one because it answers the question about how the Lord is to be worshipped. With what degree of devotion, with what inner commitment, with what purpose, and in what form are the people to worship him. According to Krishna, it is all very simple. I bless them in whatever form they invoke me, according to their karma, according to their prayer. For example, those who want wealth and steal to get it are blessed with a prison sentence. It is as simple as that. So don't blame me. If a devotee worships the Lord in the form of Krishna, that is the form in which the devotee will see the Lord. In other words, seeing the Lord as Krishna is purely subjective, even though this vision is very real to the devotee. So what is this? This is pratibhasika, right? Devotees will sometimes say, I saw Krishna yesterday. For a devotee who has been worshipping the Lord in the form of Krishna for a long time, it is possible to visualize the Lord in that form. But this kind of a Lord comes and goes, which means that the vision is bound by time, whereas the person who saw Krishna remains. Does this not mean that the devotee is greater than the Lord who comes and goes? If so, what kind of a Lord is this? And what if the Lord appears in some other form? What if he appears as a Western Lord, coated, booted, and suited? The devotee will become confused. Thus, Krishna says, in whatever form I worship, in that form alone I appear. So, as you sow, so shall you reap. This statement can apply to the purpose as well as to the form. For whatever purpose I am worshipped, that purpose I serve. People usually want only limited results. When they are in distress, for instance, they want relief from that distress. Although this particular verse is with reference to Vedic rituals and prayers, it can also be considered beyond its religious scope. I am available to you as the various resources in the world, the various laws, powers, and possibilities. In whichever form you invoke me, in that form I am going to appear. A person who goes to the gym daily and lifts weights because he or she wants to develop biceps is invoking the Lord in the form of biceps alone and will be blessed with biceps. In other words, the Lord will appear in the form of biceps alone. And if you develop only your left arm, the Lord will bulge out there only. This then is the Lord. The Shruti says that in whatever form people invoke, in that form the result will come. Therefore, if biceps are the goal you have dedicated yourself and your life to, then biceps will be what you invoke and biceps will be what you get. The goal, the end is always Bhagavan, the Lord, even though the person who has no other goal than biceps may not recognize Bhagavan in this form of biceps. Thus, you will find that in whatever form you invoke, in that form alone, the result will come. As you sow, so shall you reap. In whatever form you invoke the Lord, in the same form, the Lord, the result will come. There is no pagan's prayer, there is only prayer. Although different religions have their own forms of prayer, no one form is more efficacious than another. Regardless of the language used to invoke the Lord is invoked. When tribal people perform a rain dance, for instance, the rain comes. Similarly, when a person performs a certain very elaborate, sophisticated Vedic ritual, the rains do come. When these rituals, be they Vedic or tribal, are performed with Shraddha, with faith and sincerity, there will be rain. Without Shraddha, the rains will not come. The mode can be different, but the result the phala is the same. Thus, any form of prayer is as efficacious as any other prayer. This must be understood well, not as a tolerance for or accommodation of forms of worship other than one's own, but in terms of simple understanding alone. There is no pagan's prayer, there is only prayer. When tribal people repeat a prayer in a dialect that does not have a structure, a script, or grammar, it may not be understood by us, but it is understood by Bhagavan. Language is there. The people think they have said something, and they have. Thus, there is communication between themselves and the Lord, which is all that matters. Even in religions where the believers repeat words in a language unknown to them, it is understood that the Lord understands the language being used. Nothing more is required. Just as when you send telegram, the other person should be able to read it. When you talk to the Lord, he should be able to understand you. A prayer is a feeling expressed in a certain form, in a certain language, the meaning of which you may not even know. But the feeling, the intention is definitely there. And this is what is conveyed to the Lord in prayer. As for the words of the prayer themselves, the Lord knows all languages. All you have to do is express what you have to express. This is not religious accommodation. It is a simple understanding of what prayer is, what Ishvara is. No expansiveness of heart is required here, nor do you need to be a great sadhu or saint. Understanding the nature of prayer is not to be confused with how each religion defines God, which is where all kinds of problems arise. When it comes to real issues, concepts, and so on, there are real problems. But these have nothing to do with prayer. The real issues are, what is freedom? Why exactly am I praying? Is it for a limited purpose? Second, limited result, or for some other reason? If moksha is what you want, then there is something to be understood. That you are the whole is a fact, not a belief, and is entirely different from what is being said by the various religions of the world. Because it is a fact, it is to be understood quietly, which has nothing to do with your commitment to religion as such or to one religion in particular. Even those not connected to religion are blessed. So when Bhagwan says here, what Bhagwan says here is not only with reference to prayer, but applies beyond prayer also. That is, even a person who has no connection to religion is blessed. This includes people who claim not to be religious and those who are critical of religion also. For some people, religion is nothing more than money and power. And for a communist, religion is statism. Whatever religion is for them, in that form alone they are blessed, meaning they are not condemned. In this verse, Krishna tells Arjuna, all human beings follow me alone. Mam vartma anuvartante manushya partha sarvashaha. In other words, whether they know I am the one that is sought after or not, they are on my track alone. At the end of the track, I am always there. They may think a particular destination is their destination, but that is only a lap in their journey. If money or power is their destination, they are still on the road to me, because power and money are also me. Remember, Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, is with me. Power also is with me alone. There are different types of wealth, Lakshmi. Those who dedicate their entire lives to health, for example, may enjoy Lakshmi in the form of health. And those who dedicate their lives to acquiring power may gain the power they seek, if everything goes well. If their prayers are appropriate and their previous karma, prarabdha karma, is not totally against it, they will have power. Thus, Krishna says, whether people ask for small ends or big ends, they are all on my track, whether they know it or not. Everyone wants to be free from feeling small. All people are really seeking identity with the Paramatma, whether they know it or not. They want to be free from being small, which is why they are seekers. Everyone is a seeker of this freedom. Seeking fullness is no different from seeking freedom from being small. They are one and the same. Furthermore, to say you are seeking fullness is not really true, because you do not really know what fullness is, whereas you definitely know what smallness is, and you want to be free from this smallness. Statism is the practice or doctrine of giving a centralized government control over economic planning and policy. That is the communist. So freedom from being small is what is meant by fullness, purnatva. Everyone wants to be full, to be happy, even those who drink. If drinking did not give a person some happiness, some sukha, no one would do it. Fullness and happiness is the Lord's very nature. He is Purna Swarupa and Ananda Swarupa. Because all people seek this fullness, happiness, they are on the Lord's track alone, although they may not know it. A person who does not know exactly what he or she is seeking keeps on seeking. Thus, Krishna might have said, they do not know they are seeking me. Therefore, they spend their time seeking some small thing that is of me. This is like wanting to marry someone and marrying his or her little finger nail or piece of hair. What kind of marriage is that? People do not know they are doing the same thing when they seek power, name, and fame, quietude, or whatever. They do not know that these ends are nothing more than the nails and hairs of Bhagavan, Krishna, the infinite. Thinking themselves to be separate from him, they seek one aspect alone and exclude everything else. Everything is Bhagavan, and what is excluded by pursuing one aspect alone is also Bhagavan. When you seek power to the exclusion of all else, you are not seeking Bhagavan. They are on my track alone, but they do not seek me because they do not know they are on my track. If they knew, then the small things would not hold them up along the way. So we'll stop here. I know I did a lot of continuous reading. It's just that we get the whole idea. We will repeat this again tomorrow, and we'll do Manana tomorrow. So basically, everything is Bhagavan, right? So whether they seek wealth, health, money, fame, power, or Bhagavan himself, they are seeking Bhagavan alone. The end point is Bhagavan. Some may not know it. Most of the people don't know it. But They are all on the path. Mama Vatma. They're all on that path. Yeah. So we'll continue tomorrow. Anyone wants to share anything? Last words before we close. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishnarpanamastu. So what is important is Shraddha. Not what you do, how you do, but what is the Shraddha that you have. Very simple, right?